Hello, this is the Talking Michigan Transportation Podcast, where we talk about all things related to mobility. I'm Jeff Cranston. This week, I'll be speaking with Andy Herrmann, who is a past president of the American Society of Civil Engineers, which this week released their quadrennial report card grading the nation's infrastructure. While it appears that the overall grade inched up, if you call C- inching up, roads are still rated very poorly. That's true in Michigan and several other states. Hi, welcome again to the Talking Michigan Transportation Podcast. I'm Jeff Cranston, and today I'm pleased to be talking with Andy Herrmann, who is a past president of the American Society of Civil Engineers and has tremendous experience with report cards that the society puts together to rate our nation's infrastructure. And I'm amazed that he's not a very depressed individual given the way the scores have trended these last few years. Andy, thank you so much for taking time to do this.
Well, depressed is an interesting word. Hopefully, I'm optimistic that something's going to come out of it.
Well, okay, let's start right there. Before we even get into the latest grades and where things are, what gives you optimism?
Well, what gives me optimism is I think that this year we're going to have a infrastructure week just once and not 4 or 5 times as the last couple of years.
Well, yeah, you probably heard Secretary Pete Buttigieg last week when he spoke to AASHTO say that Infrastructure Week is no longer a Groundhog's Day joke, but something that delivers investments to the American people. So we all hope he's right.
I think everybody's on the same page. We don't have any political party bridges or roads. I think it's American roads and bridges. So it's time to fix them.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, it's kind of like the weather. Everybody complains about it, but nobody ever does anything about it. So doing something about the roads requires investment and requires revenue one way or another. Do you feel like there's a chance to get bipartisan agreement on not on the need, but on the funding?
Well, that's the optimistic part of me. I sure hope we do, because we do have a backlog. As part of our report card for America's infrastructure, we take a look at what we need to spend to get grades up to the level of B. And overall, over the next 10 years, for all 17 categories of our infrastructure, we need $2.6 trillion. And the sad thing is that in 2017, when we did that report card estimate, it was only $2.1 trillion. So that's $500 billion we lost by doing nothing for the past 4 years.
That's a point that I think is really lost on people. And, our governor decided, after not being able to raise any revenue in 2019, to do an aggressive bonding plan in 2020, which the market received even better than we dreamed of, actually paying a premium on the first segment of bonds that were sold. And people are saying, well, you're putting debt on our kids, but not doing anything is also putting debt on our kids, right?
Definitely. One of the publications that ASCE sponsors is a economic series called Failure to Act. And basically what it does is looks at how much it'll cost us if we do nothing. And those numbers are quite large. I mean, we're talking about a family of 4 having to spend another $3,300 a year by 2029. We're talking $10 trillion in gross domestic product that we're going to lose. And that's by not investing. So the cost is way exceeds what we would actually have to put into it to get the infrastructure in a good shape.
So having worked on these report cards for, a couple of decades now, what's your sense, and obviously you study this at a pretty high level, why is the U.S. having such trouble funding our basic infrastructure compared to other developed countries, our neighbors in Canada, certainly? What do you think it is about us that makes it so hard?
Well, we're still trying to use the gas tax as a way to fund federal work on infrastructure, on our roads and bridges. And we haven't raised the gas tax since 1993. So just think of the inflation loss alone on it. The other thing is that we're starting to get into more electric cars. We're trying to get better gas mileage on our cars. So that whole gas tax concept is really old-fashioned, and it's not serving the purpose anymore.
I don't know that ASCE has taken a particularly specific approach on that. What do you think should be on the table? And you know, and I know that Secretary Pete talked about that and sort of had to rethink whether we completely take the gas tax out of the mix right now or raise the gas tax, but certainly charging based on miles traveled, tolling, those things are talked about. What do you think it needs to be?
I think the vehicle miles traveled is a great concept because then everybody is contributing to the use of the roads and the bridges, not based on your gas mileage or if you have an electric car and you just pay a small surcharge per year. I think that's a good universal way to looking at it.
So this year, we're looking at a D plus nationally, right? Or is that no? That's actually I'm looking at Michigan in 2018. Talk a little bit about this year's report from a national basis.
On a national basis, we actually, and this is the first time in 20 years, the grades went up. They went from a D plus to a C minus. Now, to put that in a little perspective, that's the grade point average of 11 Ds, 4 Cs, and 2 Bs. So it's still in poor shape, and I wouldn't want to bring that home to my parents if I had a report card like that.
Right. So what does account for a little bit of that improvement?
We found a increase in aviation, in drinking water, in energy, in inland waterways, and ports. So those actually went up slightly, and the only one to go down was really bridges, and that went down from a C plus to a C.
Yeah, and roads certainly didn't show an improvement. I think that the overall grade for roads was a D.
And it stayed there.
Yeah.
Stayed there.
And that's, you know, I mean, it's good that we improved in some of those areas, especially drinking water, obviously, that touches our health. But the things
Yes.
that people see the most, the roads and the bridges, that's not showing tremendous improvement.
No, not at all. The bridges went up slightly. I'm sorry, the bridges went down slightly. And that's because the whole inventory of bridges across the country are just getting older. And with
Yeah,
the lack of the maintenance that we've been putting in and the repairs, for the first time, we've actually seen the number of bridges rated fair increase and become larger than the number of bridges that are rated good. And
that's
that's
it.
scary in an aging inventory.
And that's interesting because in Michigan, we recently put together a supplemental request from the legislature. The governor wants to put $300 million in general fund money into local bridges. We've got 59 closed across the state and another 60 or 70 that are in serious or critical condition. And so, yeah, I mean, this plays out on a national level too.
Well, and if you compare the 2018 Michigan report card, it was a D plus to the nation's presently C minus. And bridges came in at a C minus to our national C, and roads were a D minus to the national D. So you're a step behind the state overall on the condition of those categories.
Yeah, it's not anything to be proud of, that's for sure. Well, tell me, what do you think is the value in this? Because we hear about these report cards from various agencies, and we, you know, I worry this starts to become background noise to a lot of people in the public. It's like, yeah, I know there's another report card that says we're bad. What is the value in continuing to do this and to talking about it?
Well, it's keeping track of the condition of infrastructure over a couple decades now. You can see how it's going up or mostly going down. But the thing is, and today we had a legislative fly-in virtually to Washington, D.C., where we tried to meet with as many legislators and senators that we could to bring them their own copy of the report card. And they appreciate it because they use this to make decisions on where to invest and what's more important than the other. And it also gives them ammunition to be able to talk about how bad the condition of infrastructure is.
So I see that Representative Garrett Graves from Louisiana, Republican on the House Transportation Committee, said it's millions now or billions later, which kind of goes to what you and I talked about earlier. But have you heard or seen anything that he would support in terms of revenue?
They're just talking about the infrastructure package right now. When we talk to the office of our local, where I live right now, legislative congressman, they're just starting to look into that. And one of the things that they don't call them earmarks anymore, they call them a different notation, but there may be some local projects that get included in these infrastructure bills, which may help push it along a little bit.
So, yeah, so tell us, where are you coming from, Andy? I probably should have started with that.
I'm in a suburb of Boston, Massachusetts right now.
So how do you feel things are in Massachusetts in terms of investment in infrastructure?
Oh, we're there with the rest of the country. We're not, the Northeast is, in terms of roads and bridges, is in pretty bad shape. And it's the same as Michigan because of all the weather and the salts that get thrown down on the roads and the bridges starts accelerating the deterioration.
Yeah, and talking from an environmental standpoint, I mean, those are some of the categories in this report. So if we take it beyond roads and bridges, what do you think? Is it going to take some other catastrophe to really get people's attention, or is your optimism going to rub off on others?
Well, I think they finally are going to get together because it's not Democratic or Republican or independent infrastructure anymore. And I think they believe all their constituents want to improve it. They're all suffering. It's costing them. You look at some of the Texas Transportation Institute costs, and depending on what state you are, it could cost you $700 a year or $1,000 a year in maintenance and extra sitting in congestion. So it's actually costing us to do nothing. And wouldn't you rather put that into fixing it and enjoying it rather than just paying for nothing?
Yeah, it's a very logical argument, but boy, when you get down to talking about what that investment's going to be, especially as the point that you made, that we're making a shift to more electric vehicles, more fuel efficient vehicles. I mean, that's all good, especially good for the environment, but we still need the pavement. So
yeah,
figure that out.
Also mentioned that they may use the I guess it's budget resolution or
reconciliation.
I'm sorry, to get the infrastructure bill through. So I'm hoping that's in there too, so that it is a little bit easier to pass.
That would be something if we did two major spending bills within a few months of each other that way. It'll be interesting to watch going forward.
Well, the COVID bill also has infrastructure money in it also. There's some mass transit money in that. So
yeah, no, we're watching that closely for sure. Yeah.
That also help to states and cities. So that should help.
Yeah. So you're optimistic. So you think before you give this up, you're going to see a positive report card at some point?
I just want to see an infrastructure bill, and that'll help get that positive report card.
Okay. You're not thinking in terms of the letter grade. You're just thinking, let's get some kind of spending bill over the finish line.
And the spending bill will affect the report card, definitely, because we've seen in the areas where they have made investments, you get a positive grade on the report card. I mean, take a look at the rail. That's mainly freight rail, and it's independently owned. And since it's independently owned, they're working on a profit factor, and they realize that their infrastructure has to be in good condition to make money. So they invest and keep it in good condition. And that's why you got a rail grade of B. Yeah,
I think that the rail grade of B, and in Michigan, I think the private railroad system got a C- grade. And, like you said, these are private, and these are the sum of a lot of private decisions. So I'm not sure how to parse that. But no, this is good. I do appreciate your optimism, and it'll be interesting to follow this and maybe talk to you in a year if we get a real spending bill. Thank you very much for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for listening to this week's edition of the Talking Michigan Transportation Podcast. I would like to thank Randy Dubler and Corey Petey for engineering this week's podcast. To subscribe to show notes and more, go to Apple Podcasts and search for Talking Michigan Transportation.